Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm Shivangi Mittal, a chartered accountant by profession. Today we are going to have a discussion on practical issues and possible solutions on tax audit. As the due date of tax audit is approaching, many CA members are facing some peculiar difficulties while doing tax audit. So we ran a campaign where we asked the members to share their queries on the same. And trust me, we have received more than hundreds of queries. Some queries were really very interesting. But thank you, Vivek sir. Thank you, CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta sir, for taking out his time to answer the members' queries and helping and guiding us on these issues in today's webinar. Sir, I just want to say, for most of us in this webinar, still you are the light at the end of the tunnel. Basically, sir does not need any introduction. Still, I'm honored to share his achievements of sir. Our guest, CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta sir, he is a fellow member of Chartered Accountant. He is also CS, ICWA. He also completed his MBA with a specialization in finance. He also did LLB and secured first rank in the university and was awarded gold medal. He did LLM and thereafter completed his PhD. He was also appointed as member at ITAT at the age of 37 years and posted at Hyderabad. He co-authored 2 books. One is Search and Seizure and Assessment of Such Cases, and another is Taxation of Real Estate Developers and Joint Development Agreements, published by leading publishers TaxPan. Earlier, he was practicing as a chartered accountant from 1984 to 2000 and now practicing as advocate and appearing in ITAT, High Courts and Supreme Court of India. He also represented the UP government in the Supreme Court of India as a special counsel. He also argued high-profile cases of the country at tribunal and high court, drawing wide media coverage. So, seeing your success and education background, I'm pretty sure, like me, there would be many CAs. There would be many more others who would like to follow your footprints. So, first of all, I would like to request the founder of our YouTube channel, CA Sansaar, C. Vivek Khurana sir, to welcome address this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, CA Shivangi Mittal. CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji, very learned, very respected, and speaker of today's webinar, CA Shivangi Mittal ji, all other respected members, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a warm welcome to all of you at today's very, very important topic under the important issues and practical solutions under tax audit. And as Shivangi ji said, we have run a campaign regarding the what you have any issues under the tax audits, and we have received many queries. And I think Dr. Saab is the best person to give us the solution regarding that queries. And even Shivangi ji did very hard work. He speaks 8-9 volume under the close by close discussion under tax audit. And at that time also we received many queries. And this is the time for the tax audits. Members are doing their best. But yes, of course, queries will be there. And my sincere thanks to Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji for accepting our invitation, because he's also busy nowadays. But yes, he accepted our invitation and he was ready to give the answer of all the queries. So without taking any queries, today we will only discuss on the queries. And we will, my sincere thanks to Shivangi, who had summarized all the queries. So we will put the queries on the screen so that you people can also check the query, and Dr. Saab will answer the queries. So now over to Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji, sir. Once again, my sincere thanks to you.
Thank you, Vivek ji. Thank you, Shivangi. I am very happy to be with all of you after a very long recess of 2 months. I remember that on 23rd October, I was with the CA Sansaar only, and having spoken more than 100 deliberations after the onset of COVID, I told in that webinar that now I will take rest for 1 or 2 months. But I never meant that I will take the rest of 1 or 2 months because of some perforced reason. Now, I and my partner, Dr. Raj, now suffered from serious corona disease, had been hospitalized, and after this post-COVID experience, I mean, of course, not a pleasant experience, but now I thought that I must, and therefore I talked to Vivek ji, and I suggested him one topic, which he said that we will take that topic a little later. And that topic was how to prepare the replies for the faceless assessment and how to prepare submissions and paper book during the faceless appeals. He said that the members have got lots of questions and the tax audits are almost at the fag end of the limitation period, unless, of course, that limitation period is extended by the government. And therefore, we have compiled, as he said that Shivangi has done a lot of hard work, has compiled the questions received from the members, and these questions are on a very wide spectrum. And therefore, we will take a special session whereby there will be questions, and then I would try to deal those questions. And peripherally, also, if there are incidental issues relating to the tax impact, because yesterday also I sent a note in which I have emphasized that the tax audit and the tax, they go hand in hand, and they are not strangers. Any reporting in the tax audit has got direct, proximate, and inextricable impact on the tax liability of a person. Therefore, in certain situations, now one may find oneself in a cleft like situation as to whether it should be reported, and if to be reported, in what manner. And therefore, having regard to all these kind of different fact situations, we thought to organize, this webinar. As Vivek ji has just pointed out, that the question will be asked by Shivangi, and at the same time that question will appear on the screen, and then I will pick up, and I'll pick up the questions for answer, and then I'll take active assistance from Shivani also. As Vivek ji has told, and I have also seen that Shivangi has done a lot of hard work, clause by clause analysis she has done. And this is good that CA Sansaar and Vivek ji now pick up young chartered accountants, and then he gives a very good opportunities for them to come up, because the young chartered accountants are the speakers, uh, the future speakers, and therefore this is very good that he is cultivating, this crop of new young chartered accountants. This is very good. So with this background, I would request Shivangi to flash first question, and then yes, Shivangi. Yes, you are not audible. You are not audible. Please unmute yourself.
Now,
Hmm.
okay. So there's one question.
Yes.
In case of an assessee, whether Section 44AB and Section 44AB or ADA can be claimed together if the assessee is doing multiple businesses.
Yes. Now, before giving the answer to this question, let us understand, the provision section 44ADA first, and then 44AD. And then we would try to see whether one claims the benefit of a presumptive scheme of taxation under these two sections. Now, whether having availed that presumptive scheme, is it open for him to get the books of accounts audited in respect of any other business or not? So 44 ADA, as all of us know, is applicable in case of a person carrying on the profession as prescribed under subsection 1 of section 44 AA. Now, the profession of accountancy, the architectural professions, the interior decoration, the legal profession, all those persons who or all those professions which are mentioned under subsection 1 or section 44AA, any person carrying on those professions now can avail the presumptive scheme of taxation under section 44 ADA. But there are certain conditions which are attached with it. The condition is that his or her professional receipts, should not exceed 50 lakhs of rupees. And in that situation, if 50% or more of such receipts are declared to be the professional income, then such person, it appears from a close reading of subsection 4 of section 44 ADA, may not be required to maintain books of accounts and is not required to get his books of accounts audited. Now, similarly, under section 44 AD, now if you are an eligible person or eligible assessee carrying on eligible business and showing 8% or more of your gross receipts turnover or income as income, then in that situation that will be deemed to be your income from the business. And in that situation, it has to be seen whether you are hit by subsection 4 or not. Now, subsection 4 of section 44 AD says that if in any year you have declared your profit from the eligible business under subsection 1, then you are bound to declare your income from that business under subsection 1 of section 44 AD in the following 5 years. But then if you do not so declare your income, then in next 5 years, then you are debarred, you are precluded, you are ousted from declaring your income under subsection 1. So you are out from the presumptive scheme under section 44 AD. Then subsection 5 of section 44 AD says that if you are hit by subsection 4 and your income is above the threshold exemption limit, then you are required to not only maintain books of account, but then you have to get them audited and furnish the audit report. Therefore, on the conjoint reading of section 44 ADA and section 44 AD, read with section 44 AB, it appears that if a professional is availing the presumptive scheme under section 44 ADA, then he is not required to get his books of accounts audited. Similarly, if you are availing the benefit of section 44 AD and you are not hit by subsection 4, then also in that situation, you are not required to keep books of accounts. You are not required to get yourselves audited under section 44 AB. But the question which has been asked now gives a very interesting reading, and it gives a further question now whether the benefit of section 44 AD is qua business or is qua a person, because the question of audit under 44 AB and availing presumptive scheme under section 44 AD would arise when there are multiple business, and this question also says about the multiple business. But then if we see the definition of specified business under section 44 AD given under subsection 6, then it gives an impression as if the limit of 2 crore is in respect of every business. But then the road does not end, and we'll have to refer to the third proviso or the proviso under section 44 AB, that is the first proviso. So if we read the first proviso of section 44 AB, then it is more than evident that this limit of 2 crore is in respect of all the businesses carried on by a person, and therefore there may not be any occasion for a person to carry on multiple business, the sum of which having turnover less than 2 crore, some is having turnover of more than 2 crore, or he cannot be a person now who can avail 44 AD and uh, 44 AD, and then he should get his books of accounts audited. Meaning thereby that if the total turnover of all the businesses put together, even if maybe less than 2 crores of rupees. So suppose if he has got 3 businesses, the turnover of each is say 65 lakhs each. So less than 2 crores. In case he wants to go in for 44 AD in respect of the 3 businesses, yes, it is permissible. Then in that situation, he need not to get his books of accounts audited under section 44 AB because the total turnover is less than 2 crore and eligible business, all the 3 businesses fall into the eligible. But then if there are 2 businesses and the turnover of which is 65 lakhs and 65 lakhs, 1 crore 30 lakhs, and there is a third business whose turnover is say 80 lakhs of rupees. Now he cannot be permitted to choose 44 AD in respect of 2 businesses because the aggregate turnover of all the businesses put together carried on by this person now exceeds rupees 2 crore, and as per the first proviso of section 44 AB, the reading goes like this, that this limit of 2 crore is qua a person, not in respect of each business, and therefore this combination of 44 AB and 44 AD or 44 ADA, now you cannot be selected. The businesses turnover will have to be seen in aggregate in respect of a person. Any other incidental question, Shivangi, if you want to ask relating to this question, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for explaining in detail.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is another question that we have received, which is wrongly conducted by previous auditor as per subsection 4 of section 44 AD. Whether this year tax audit is applicable.
Look, all that we first of all will have to understand one very important principle of law. And that principle of law is that there can be no estoppel against law. Meaning thereby that if the position of law is like this, for example, then merely because I have done something which was contrary to law, then also I cannot be bound by that because there can be no estoppel against law. I cannot be estopped under the law if my earlier action was contrary to law. Now, as this question goes, now if the audit has been done under subsection, audit has been done under section 44 AD, and what I have understood from this question is that though he was not required to have got his books of accounts audited, and whether the very fact that he has got himself audited wrongly, now whether he will be bound by this wrongful act done by the previous auditor, no, because there can be no estoppel against law. So if a person was not required to get his books of accounts audited in law, but then still he got his books of accounts audited, then this condition of that you have to get your books of account for next 5 years mandatorily as given in the subsection 4 now cannot be said to be applicable. You can always show on the face of it the assessing officer would issue you the notice, but then in reply and in response to that notice you can always show, sir, the position of law was like this, that I was under no legal obligation to get my books of accounts audited, and yet I somehow got my books of accounts audited. My this action which was contrary to law should not stop me from pleading and showing and demonstrating you now that that was not required to be audited, and therefore the limitation as given in the subsection 4 of section 44 AD, whereby one is called upon to follow mandatorily for next 5 years, should not apply to me. This is for that reason, again at the cost of repetition I would say that there is no estoppel against law. Any incidental question you can ask, Shivangi, emanating from my reply. So you want to ask any question for the purpose of further clarifications, you are welcome.
Yes. So in this case, if we are not doing any audit, and then whether A will send us some notice after that.
Yes, I mean, to send notice is the prerogative of the assessing officer, and
Yes.
to reply to that notice is your prerogative. So if something which was contrary to law was done, then you cannot be bound by that. That is what, and you can always show it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. So next question is, to
Hmm.
calculate the tax audit limit of rupees 5 crores, we are required to consider the aggregate cash payment or receipt. If there is contra entry, whether this still needs to be considered.
How will we just, what is this? How will we justify this entry to AO?
Yes, how will we justify this entry to AO, as there can be a case where we would be receiving cash from debtors directly in our bank account and withdrawing cash ourselves on the same day.
Okay, so there are two limbs of your this question. The first limb of your question is that if my aggregate turnover is not more than rupees 5 crores as given into the proviso which has been added by Finance Act 2020 from 1/4/2020, whereby whereby the turnover limit of 1 crore was enhanced to 5 crores in certain fact situations. Now, whether for calculating that threshold of 5 crores, whether the contra entry will be taken into account. Okay.
Yes.
So this question is relevant or was relevant even when the second limb may be applicable when the limit was enhanced from 1 crore to 5 crores. Otherwise, this question, whether the contra entry should be taken into account in order to compute the turnover threshold, whether it was a 1 crore or 5 crores. So the reply which was there in case of 1 crore now would apply or would be applicable in case of the computation of turnover 5 crores also. So it depends upon the nature of contra entries. Now, okay, I mean, uh, if the nature of contra entries has got nothing to do with the gross receipts, turnover, then of course, I mean, that will not come into account for computing the threshold. But then the kind of example which you have sought to give, you have sought to give in the next limb, if that is the kind of entry you are referring, then I would say, of course, this kind of the so-called adjustment or this kind of a transaction whereby the debtor is depositing the amount in your bank account and then you are withdrawing, then of course, because the bank acts as your agent, so bank is accepting cash for and on your behalf. Now the cash received by the bank from your debtor, in my respectful opinion and submissions, would be treated as the cash receipt. More so when the other day you are withdrawing that amount from the bank account. So there is all the more reason to treat such kind of receipt of cash into the bank through the debtor and then you withdrawing. There is all the more reason for such receipt into the bank to be treated as the cash receipt. And therefore, if the aggregate amount of cash receipts now exceed 5% of the total receipts, then of course the limit of 5 crores, I mean, will not be applicable in your case, then the limit of 1 crore will be applicable. So the answer to this question is that the receipt of cash into your bank account made by the debtor now should be taken as the receipt of cash by you, because the bank is acting for and on your behalf, and I would say is some sort of an agency relationship. And the answer to this question which I have given, that it should be part of the cash receipts, is reaffirmed all the more in the light of the subsequent fact which has been given in the question, that we are withdrawing the same. Therefore, according to me, it should be part of the cash receipt.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
The next.
Next question is, in the case of proprietor, while calculating the aggregate cash payment to receipt limit, whether his saving bank account entries also needs to be considered or only current account entries would suffice.
Uh, yes, I mean saving bank account which has got nothing to do with the business, because if you read section 44ab, now it says carrying on business shall if his total sales, turnover or gross receipts as the case may be in business. Therefore all those things which have been said in this clause are relating to the business. And saving bank account, I am presuming, though it has not been given in the question, has got nothing to do with the business of the proprietor, and therefore the transactions made by him in the saving bank account will not have any bearing whatsoever on the aspect of section 44ab, and therefore the cash receipts or the cash payment to the saving bank account will not be treated as the amount received or amount paid for the purpose of seeing the limit of 5 crores. That is what my understanding is.
Okay. Sir, including with that question, if there are few entries that are coming in the saving bank account which is related to the business, then what should we do?
Oh, if there are certain entries which are coming into the saving bank account relating to the business, then in that situation you will have to reflect that saving bank account in your balance sheet relating to the business. Then in that situation, that saving bank account now then would be forming part of your business transactions itself, and then there may be problem, because the receipts and payments in cash from that business, I mean from that saving bank account, I mean that may be liable to be included for the purpose of seeing the threshold of this 5%.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question is, which option to select for clause 8 of Form 3CD in case of audit of companies? Whether it is clause A of section 44AB or slight proviso to section 44AB.
देखिए, regarding section 44ab, the clauses are 5: A, B, C, D, E. So clauses are not in the provisos. So when clause 8 of Form 3CD asks, I will read it, indicate the relevant clause of section 44ab. So relevant clause of section 44ab is A, when you are carrying on business and your gross receipts turnover, I mean exceed 1 crore, 5 crores I am leaving as of now. B, profession. C, 44A, D, 44ADA, and E, 44AD. So these are the clauses. So you will have to find out the applicability of the clause from A to E only. Now, third proviso merely says that in case you are an entity who is required to get your books of accounts audited under some other law, then that will be sufficient compliance with section 44ab, that you obtain a report, uh, you obtain a report of the audit as required by that other law, and a further report from a chartered accountant as prescribed under this section. So suppose if you are a company, you are required to get your books of accounts audited under the Companies Act 2013. So you get your books of accounts audited under that, obtain that report, and also obtain a report from an accountant. Accountant means the chartered accountant under this section, meaning thereby then you have to obtain his report in form number 3CA and particulars or the statements in form number 3CD. So insofar as the reporting or choosing the appropriate clause is concerned, your limits are from A to E of section 44AB and not under the proviso. Therefore, in my respectful submission, the third proviso to section 44AB cannot be said to constitute, to be any clause when form number 3CD asks you to specify the relevant clause. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question is, if PF employee contribution is deposited
No,
late,
I mean, there's something different question was put.
sorry, yeah,
No. This question is different what you are saying.
sorry, sir, we can use this question now. Anyways,
The question number 6 is there.
Actually, few questions are very lengthy.
Okay. So
We will not able to show it on the screen. So Shivangi ji will read it out.
Shivangi, now you kindly read it. Okay. No.
okay. So there's another question, sir. If PF employee contribution is deposited late, then
Yeah.
whether we should disallow the same as per section 36(1)(5)(a), as there are some judicial pronouncements in which the courts have allowed the same. See, AML Limited case law. Also, if the amount is minimal and having no such major impact on the tax liability, then assessee would agree to pay tax on the disallowed amount. However, if the quantum of the amount is heavy and the assessee is resisting in disallowing the same, then as a tax auditor, what should we do?
Yes. Now this is the clause, which is clause 20 small b of form number 3CD, and it has created a ruckus in the sense that whenever any PF employees contributions or the ESI employees contributions have been paid belatedly, then the due dates prescribed under the PF Act or the ESI Act and auditors reporting in clause 20 small b such kind of deviations, then the CPC Bangalore now has sent intimations containing the adjustments or containing the disallowances of such belated payments. And in some cases, I have found that the minor delay of say 1 or 2 or 3 days beyond 15th of the following month now has brought the tax demands of the catastrophic nature, particularly in respect of those assessees now who are employees or workers centric, where number of employees and the workers are mammoth in numbers. And these assessees, I could find where I mean such assessees were supplying labor to the industry. I mean, there this impact of this clause has been very severe. I always say, and I must thank you, Shivangi, that you have referred the name of this decision, Emil Limited. And this is a decision in which I argued the case on behalf of the taxpayer. So I do not know whether you have chosen it purposely that I am appearing on your show or it is a coincidence. But then this decision is very important, and which in some para, I do not recollect in which para of that decision, says it that the due date means the due date, despite because the due date has been defined under the explanation to section 36 subsection 1 clause 5a, and yet their lordships of the Delhi High Court in Emil Limited has said the due date means the due date of filing of return. And a parity was sought to be drawn in this case between the employee's contributions and the liability of the employer as the employer's contribution. Therefore, now a call will have to be taken by you as a tax auditor on the basis of this judicial decision and also on the basis of several other judicial decisions, though I'm conscious that the Gujarat is against, the Kerala is against, probably Karnataka is also against, but then the whole hosts of other high courts, the Rajasthan, and against the Rajasthan High Court decision, even the special petition has been dismissed by the Supreme Court. Therefore, a call will have to be taken by you as a tax auditor based upon the expounding of law made by my Lord Justice Sikri, as he then was in the Delhi High Court, presiding the court in Emil Limited, that what is the meaning of the due date. And if based upon that decision, if you refer the due date equivalent to the due date of filing of return, and then a suitable note is given in form number 3CA or 3CB, where you are required to give clarifications, then I think that you can avoid the ignominy of the huge tax demand. But then that is one escape route which is in accordance with law, which can be followed by the tax auditors. But of course, after giving uh, the note into form 3C and 3CB, that based upon the judicial decision of the Delhi High Court in the case of Emil Limited, probably it has been reported in 319 ITR. Now you can very well check. And para number so and so, the due date now has been equated to be the due date as prescribed for filing of the return, and therefore the payments made have been treated, or payments have been treated to have been made within the due time. So this is one way. Otherwise, if you happen to report it under clause 20 small b, even these minor aberrations, then you be prepared to face litigation. I'm not saying that if you report on the lines suggested by me, then adjustments will not be made. But then the possibility of such adjustments being made by the CPC is lesser. And during the course of scrutiny assessment, then you can very well explain with the help of that note, with the help of the decision of Emil, with the help of the decisions of so many high courts, unless of course you fall into the jurisdiction of those high courts which have taken a contrary view, then you can very well explain the position. Or even if you may not be falling within the Delhi High Court jurisdiction, you may not be falling within the jurisdictions of those three high courts which have taken a contrary position, then also then you can pitch it the Delhi High Court and other high courts by saying that this is an issue on which divergent judicial views are available, and therefore in that situation the view favorable to the taxpayer now must be honored, respected and followed, and thereby then you can make out a case during the course of scrutiny assessment. Now, you in the second limb of this question, you have said that certain assessees do agree because of the smallness of the amount. Certain assessees where the impact is higher, I mean, they tend to resist. No, my reply is irrespective, and the chartered accountant's duty to report correctly is without prejudice to any acceptance, concession, admission, agreement, resistance of the taxpayer. You have to report, because after all, this is the statement. Form number 3CD is a statement of particulars required to be furnished under section 44AB. Therefore, you have to state the facts. You have to give information in accordance with law. And therefore, by taking Emil's decisions help, and by giving suitable note in your form 3CA and 3CB, you can give this kind of reporting by showing due date as the due date of filing of return. That is what my humble submission is. Question number 7.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question is,
Can it be displayed, or question 7?
shall I read it
Yes,
now,
yes,
sir?
yes, yes. You please read it.
Okay. There is unsecured loan of rupees 50 lakhs and the assessee is liable to pay interest at the rate of 1% per month on the same. Whether the interest amount which is being credited to the assessee will be considered as loan amount as per section 269 SS, as the same is being added in the loan account of the assessee.
Okay. Now, first of all, my answer is no, it will not be treated as loan. Because if you read section 269 SS, it says no person shall take or accept. So taking or accepting now presupposes and gives a very strong indication that something has to come from a person other than the borrower. Second, if you read the definition of the loan or deposit, as given under the explanation to section 269 SS. Now it says loan or deposit means the loan or deposit of money. And this loan or deposit of money now has come to be interpreted by a series of judicial decisions, both from the income tax appellate tribunal various benches and even from the High Court. And all courts are categorical on the aspect that if an amount has not been received or has been received through book adjustment, then that will not be treated as loan or deposit of money. So when the courts have given this extended meaning of the word loan or deposit, being the loan or deposit of money, as that even if there is a book adjustment, then also it will not be hit by section 269 SS. Now there is all the more reason in the facts of this present query when there is a book adjustments in my book itself, that the amount of interest is being added to the credit of the lender. Therefore, I mean, you may not be required to report in form 269 SS, and you cannot be said to be contravening the provision of section 269 SS. Though there may well be another view that if the lender and borrower have reached to an agreement that this interest will also be added to the amount of loan and therefore should partake the character of loan, and since by virtue of an agreement now this interest has changed its color from interest to the loan, and therefore this loan, I mean, but then in any case, even if you happen to report it under that clause, but then when the assessing, when that one of the questions which is asked whether that amount has been accepted otherwise than by an account pay check or bank draft, then in that situation, I mean, you are not required to report in any negative manner. And even if you happen to report, but then there will not be any contravention, there will not be any breach, you are not liable to be penalized under section 271 capital D. That is what my take is.
Sir, we are also getting many queries side by side. So we'll take one by one, not
Okay.
yet. After
Yes.
query,
So
if we have
let us rush through. How many are the queries, Vivekji, there?
15-20 queries are there.
Okay. Yes.
Let's take 1-2 queries, then we'll discuss our own queries which have.
Now you kindly take it.
Yes.
SC जैन साहब आगरा से हमारे मित्र हैं. If firm incurs loss but turnover is below 1 crore, whether firm requires audit under section 44 AD has profit below 40. जैन साहब देखिए, आपका आंसर देने से पहले let us be very clear. 44 AD is not a compulsion first of all in the first place. 44 AD is something which you invite. So आपके क्वेश्चन से ये स्पष्ट नहीं है कि क्या इस साल से पहले वाले साल में, पिछले 3-4-5 साल में क्या आपने 44 AD सबसेक्शन 1 का बेनिफिट लिया है. यदि लिया है तो फिर आपको 44 AD में 5 साल दिखलानी पड़ेगी. लेकिन यदि आपने पहले 44 AD में बेनिफिट नहीं लिया है और आपकी टर्नओवर 1 करोड़ से कम है, तो आपको कोई 44 AD या 44 AB नहीं लगता है फिर. तो इसलिए बिकॉज इफ यू रीड सबसेक्शन 4 ऑफ सेक्शन 44 AD, ये शुरू यहां से होता है कि यदि आप एलिजिबल एसएससी हैं, डिक्लेयर्स प्रॉफिट फॉर एनी प्रीवियस ईयर इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द प्रोविजन ऑफ दिस सेक्शन. सो हु विल डिक्लेयर? यू विल डिक्लेयर. सो यदि आपने अपने आप प्रॉफिट 8% का डिक्लेयर करके पुराने साल में यदि 44 AD को आमंत्रित किया है, तो ही 44 AD कंपल्शन है आपके लिए. अदरवाइज यदि आपका पहला साल है या इससे पुराने साल में भी आपकी टर्नओवर 1 करोड़ से कम थी और आपने, तो 44 AD की जो शुरुआत है वो आपके द्वारा इनवाइट करने पे है. यदि मैं आपके क्वेश्चन का आंसर देने के लिए मैं ये अज्यूम कर रहा हूं.
जैन साहब ने रिप्लाई किया यस टेकन अर्लियर.
अच्छा, तो यदि आपने पहले लिया है 44 AD और पिछले प्रीसीडिंग 5 इयर्स में से है, तो आपको 44 AD के लिए आप बाध्य होते, लेकिन ये 44 AD सबसेक्शन 5 में एक बहुत ही अजीब सी चीज जो दे दी है, उसकी वजह से आप बच सकते हैं। बिकॉज वहां पर है कि आप 44 AD 4 से हिट होने चाहिए और आपकी इनकम बेसिक थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए। तो पार्टनरशिप फर्म के लिए तो थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट कुछ है ही नहीं, 0 है पार्टनरशिप फर्म के लिए। तो यदि लॉस है तो वो 0 से कम है। तो इसलिए आपका 1 करोड़ से कम होने के बावजूद भी आपको 44 AD नहीं लगेगा, क्योंकि सबसेक्शन 5 में जो एक कुचल्ला उन्होंने लगा दिया है, एक एडेंडम उन्होंने लगा दिया है, और आपकी जो इनकम है वो लॉस में है, तो आपको ऑडिट नहीं कराना पड़ेगा।
नरेश जी का सेम क्वेश्चन है।
इन केस ऑफ लॉस, अब ये क्वेश्चन अपने आप में पर्याप्त नहीं है नरेश भाई।
हाँ भाई।
हाँ,
अच्छा।
आलोक मिश्रा सर कह रहे हैं, इफ ए कंपनी pays salary to its employee in cash twice in a month, which is less than rupees 10,000, but in aggregate salary is more than 10,000 a month, whether rule 6DD will get attracted? रूल 6DD मैं अभी देख के बाद इसको बात के लिए रख लेते हैं, मुझे पढ़ना पड़ेगा रूल 6DD एंड देन आई विल आंसर इट। हाँ, Supragya Lal, can a partner drawing salary from a firm take the benefit of presumption? Yes. Because the salary received by a partner from a professional firm is also his professional income. And therefore, if the total receipts are less than 50 lakhs of rupees, then of course, yes, he can declare under section 44 ADA.
Yes, Shivangi, you can take your question, 2-3 questions, then we'll take others. Question 9, 10.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. So there is another question. If we are considering the interest amount as per section 269 SS, then while filing the tax audit report under the payment mode, we should select no under the payment type.
Which question are you reading?
So question number 9.
Because the interest amount is then while I mean, would you please repeat it?
Yes. So if we are considering the interest amount as per section 269 SS, so I think in question number 7, आपने बोला कि वो interest.
Yes. Already I have written. Yes.
I'm reading next question now, sir. Director has given loan to the company. Further, the company has put advances on behalf of the director and adjusted it through director loan account. Whether the same should be considered as loan repayment as per section 269T, and what should be considered as the payment mode in this case in tax or audit report, as we have not made any payment to the director directly.
So this is repayment. Though if you go strictly by the language of section 269T, then it is required to be made directly to that person. Okay, but then there are courts judicial decisions which say that there is no breach of section 269T even if the repayment is made through the account pay check or bank draft to a person on the instruction of this lender to somebody else. So advance tax payment in fact is a payment for and on behalf of the director himself. Okay, then section 269, though it is a repayment, but it is not otherwise than by way of an account pay check or bank draft, and therefore even if you may happen to report it, but then I mean you cannot be said to be committing any breach, and you are not required to say that the payment has been made otherwise than by an account pay check or bank draft, and therefore though it is a repayment, but then inviting no adverse implications on you. Next, please.
Yes. Another question is, tax audit is being made under section 44 AB clause A since last 5 years of the session. If CA turnover is less than 2 crores, then for current year, can we do tax audit under section 44AB clause E?
What I have understood from this question is that tax audit under clause A is being done for last 5 years. Okay. Now this year the turnover is less than 2 crores, and you do not want to avail the presumptive scheme of 44 AD subsection 1, and yet you want, though you are not required to get the books of accounts audited because your turnover is less than 2 crores of rupees, and as per the first proviso to section 44 AB, you are not, but then you'll have to declare your profit under section 44 AD1. You have declared your profit, you'll have to clarify this thing, Shivangi. तो जब आपकी टर्नओवर 2 करोड़ से कम है तो क्या आपने उस साल 44 AD1 में 8% का प्रॉफिट दिखलाया है?
Yes, sir.
तो 8% का प्रॉफिट दिखलाया तो आप ऑडिट कराने के लिए तो बाध्य नहीं है, लेकिन आप ऑडिट करा लेते हैं तो करा लीजिएगा, ठीक है ना?
Okay, sir. Another question is the tax audit limit is 5 crores for the assessee. After calculating the cash aggregate payment and receipt of 5% वाला limit cover करके, but still he wants to get his audited done. Please confirm what should we do?
I would say, as a chartered accountant, even if it may not be required statutorily, your client is interested to get the books of accounts audited. You do, because you'll get the fee also. So far as the law is concerned, there is no compulsion. But then,
Okay.
for other purposes, if somebody wants to get his books of accounts audited, I will let him be. I mean, if Mia Bibi Raji, then what is the problem? किशोर साहा कह रहे हैं in 1920, probably means 2019-20, commission income rupees 45 lakhs and sale 59 lakh. Okay, in case of Adathya, okay, in case of Adathya, is tax audit must, and should he have to do next 5 years tax audit receipts less than rupees 1 crore? देख किशोर साहब, मैं पहले भी बता चुका हूं, यदि 44 AD आपने पुराने साल में नहीं लिया है तो आपकी टर्नओवर इस साल में 1 करोड़ से कम है तो आपको टैक्स ऑडिट 44 AB में नहीं कराना है, क्योंकि आप 44 AD सबसेक्शन 4 से हिट नहीं है, ठीक है ना? यस। एनएल टुटेजा साहब हमारे फरीदाबाद से मित्र हैं। कंपनी कन्वर्टेड ट्रीटेड इट्स कैपिटल एसेट एज स्टॉक इन ट्रेड at a price which is more than the WDV. Okay, goods were sold at the same price at which the assets were converted. My queries are, क्या queries क्या है? विवेक जी queries तो आगे हैं। हाँ, whether the company can convert at a price higher than its WDV, whether the company can treat the excess amount over WDV as profit on conversion, how to report under clause 15. देखिए टुडेजा सर, now if you are talking of your conversion of capital asset into stock in trade, then section 45 subsection 2 is the answer. Now section 45 subsection 2 says that if there is a capital asset which is converted in stock in trade, then on the date of conversion, whatever was its fair market value, that will be deemed to be the sale consideration. ठीक है, और उसके बाद उसके बेचने पर जो भी होगा वो उस दिन के बाद से जो प्रॉफिट होगा वो बिजनेस इनकम होगा। तो इसलिए WDV irrespective of that, उसकी फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू क्या थी, that will be deemed to be the sale consideration. तो इसलिए company can convert at a price higher than its WDV. Now it is not in your hand. That fiction has been given in section 45 subsection 2 only. आपकी WDV, आपकी सपोज वैल्यू डेट ऑफ कन्वर्जन के दिन 120 रुपए है, तो 120 रुपए ही उसके विद रेफरेंस टू दैट कैपिटल गेन वर्कआउट होगा. ठीक है. Whether the company can treat the excess amount over double as profit on conversion? No. WDV से और कन्वर्ट और फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू तक का जो अमाउंट है वो भी कैपिटल गेन ही निकलेगा उस पे. हाउ टू रिपोर्ट अंडर क्लॉज 15? क्लॉज 15 ये कहता है कैपिटल एसेट की डिस्क्रिप्शन दे दीजिएगा, डेट ऑफ एक्विजिशन दे दीजिएगा, कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन दे दीजिएगा, और अमाउंट एट विच द एसेट इज कन्वर्टेड इन स्टॉक इन ट्रेड. सो दैट स्टॉक इन ट्रेड विल बी डीम्ड टू बी कन्वर्टेड एट द फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू. ठीक है. तो फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू उसकी निकाली जाएगी. Should penalty under section 234E, it is not penalty, 234E is the fee, be reported in clause 2167? What is this 2167? No, it is not a penalty. There is a difference between the penalty and the fee. Fee is for a service, penalty is for infraction of law. Therefore you are not required to report it in clause 21. If the audit, okay, yes, Shivangi.
Yes.
Question 14.
So, if the audit is not applicable to the assessee, considering 5 crore limit of tax audit, and his turnover is rupees 4 crore in case of a company, still a CA conducts the audit, then what are the penalties or repercussions on CA and the assessee?
No. Now, if a person was not required to get his books of accounts audited, yet he gets them audited. Now there is nothing adverse implications either on chartered accountant, or rather there is a positive implication. The chartered accountant will get fee. So there is no negative or adverse consequence. It is not an offense or default.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
15 आप ले लीजिए.
Okay. Next question is, during the previous year, the accountant of the company has only adjusted some entries from the loan account of the director. Say if the director is withdrawn cash from the company to make the payment of the salary of the company employee, and the accountant is wrongly adjusted these entries to the director's loan account. And further, the CEO has done tax audit considering that loan payment has been made. Now a new CA is hired by the company, and while scrutinizing the accounts and after consulting with the management, he is reversing those entries. As there is reversal of loan repayment entries, whether the same should be considered as per section 269 SS, what should be the payment mode in the tax audit report in this case, as there is only reversal of the entries?
Now, substance over form. Okay. Now the substance of these reversal entries is not repayment of any loan, because it was not the loan given in the first instance. And in case at any point of time, if you are called upon to explain, then you can very well explain the correct nature of the entry, that earlier when the cash was paid to the director or cash was withdrawn by the director from company's bank account, it was not on account of any loan, but then it was on account of the imprest which has been wrongly treated as, loan given to the director. And therefore, now all that we are doing now is the reversal, and we are undoing that wrong which was committed on earlier point of time, and therefore it is not in character of loan or deposit or the repayment or the acceptance. And then you can very well explain it with the help of the evidences, and then there is nothing which will come on you, and you are not required to report either.
Okay.
Yes.
The next question is, if UTIN for tax audit is not issued within 15 days, the tax audit report becomes invalid. Then what should we do, and how to make our tax audit report valid?
I am as invalid to answer this question, and now you answer because of the UDIN. I am not into the profession of auditing, therefore I am not aware. Shivangi, you kindly answer this question.
Okay. So as per my view, we can revise the tax audit report. So in the case, if we have not generated the UDIN within the specified time limit, we you can submit the revised tax audit report with new written.
Yeah, there is the only solution. Can revise the tax audit report and then can generate the UDIN within 15 days. Then can upload. Yes,
नहीं, revise or refile?
refile sir.
हाँ, रिवाइज तो नहीं, रिवाइज तो और टैक्स ऑडिट तो जो है वही रहेगा.
Tax audit वही.
तो हम दोबारा उसको फाइल करेंगे, वो जो यूडिन जनरेट होगा 15 दिन के अंदर, वो फिर हम इंटीमेट करेंगे. ओके,
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So next question is whether invoice value should be inclusive or exclusive of tax.
Of course, it should be inclusive of tax. Now, tax which is leviable, and even as per section 145 capital A of the Income Tax Act, now you may not include the tax in invoice, but then for all intents and purposes, the amount of sales will be inclusive of tax for the purpose of computing your income under that business. So if that is the situation, then you must, I mean, otherwise, how would you charge the tax from the customer? Unless, of course, you say that my sale price is inclusive of the tax, which I have to bear. Then in that situation, of course, your sale price is gross. And then you have not to show it separately. You may not show it separately. But I have seen that wherever even the sale price is inclusive of tax, then also the invoice is payable. Like if you go to Haldiram. Now, if the price of a particular thing is 100 rupees, which is inclusive of that VAT or sales or GST, now he would issue you the cash memo, say 90 rupees price and 10 rupees GST. So that is what. So if you have to charge separately from the customer, then also you should. But then even if you have not to charge, you have to pay tax from your pocket, then also you can show it in either way. But the principle of law is that your tax liability is not dependent upon as to how you prepare the document, how the entries are recorded in books of account. This is independent of that. Next, please.
So next question is whether turnover includes other income.
Because the expressions which have been used under section 44 AB is gross receipts, total sales, turnover in business. So if that other income is relating to the business, then of course that will part of the gross sales, turnover, or gross receipts. But then if that other income now is not having any relation with the business, suppose you have got surplus fixed deposits with you, or if an individual has got fixed deposits on which he earns interest, but he credits that interest to his profit and loss account. But then when he's called upon to show whether these fixed deposits have got any linkage with business, now he says no, these are my personal fixed deposits, then of course that interest now will not be aggregated for the purpose of section 44 AB in order to determine the turnover limit. So it depends upon the nature of other income. No blanket answer can be given in a mechanical manner. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next question is what are the things the CA should consider in management representation letter?
Now again, I mean, this is concerning the tax audit, and therefore I may not be the appropriate persons to answer. But then, if I do vividly remember, we used to obtain a management representation letter now as a piece of evidence in support of the diligence which we as the tax auditors used to exhibit. But then, even if management has given some representation letter, and if on that representation letter we as the auditors have relied upon, but then that reliance on that management representation letter now cannot absolve us from our liability. I mean, in case it is found that we were remiss in our or in the discharge of our professional duties, that may be one piece of evidence that may show that an attempt was made by the tax auditors, but then that is not the conclusive proof which can absolve us. Now, Vivekji and Shivangi, I mean, you can support on this aspect because this is relating to the audit.
Sure, sir. The main emphasis of the management representation letter is to focus on the management attention on different matters. So, a good management representation letter can include the details of the additional input assets, or the pending litigation to provisional process. Further to add, we are going to have a specific video specifically on the management resolution letter, in which we will be covering the minor details a CA should consider. So we are going to upload it soon. You can refer that one.
But Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji clearly said it, and he's right. Auditor cannot skip from his responsibility on the basis of the management representation letter, and that's the true thing. It's the overall responsibility on the auditor itself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, P. Avdut sir कह रहे हैं the tax audit is applicable for XYZ firm and another firm ABC's partner in XYZ, but tax audit is not applicable to ABC firm. Which due date will be applicable to individual partner in ABC firm? Now, the partners of ABC firm cannot take advantage of the extended due dates which are applicable in case of the partners of a firm which is required to get its books of accounts audited. So the partners of the ABC firm, there will be the normal due date of filing of return, and that extended due date is not applicable in, because the ABC firm, what has to be seen is the proximity. The partners of ABC firm, ABC is not required to get its books of accounts audited, and therefore the mere fact that ABC is partner in XYZ now would not lend or would not give the extended time limit to the partners of ABC firm. Yes. So Pragya Laul, can an individual having two businesses claim 44 AD for one income? And no, if you read subsection 4 of 44 AD, it is clearly mentioned that if you are carrying on profession, like I will read it, 44 AD subsection 6 says that the provisions of section 44 AD is not applicable on a person carrying on profession as referred to in subsection 1 of section 44 AA. So if you are carrying on the profession which are referred under subsection 1 of 44 AD, 44 AA, then 44 AD cannot be taken. Prakash Accounting Services, for private limited company whose turnover is 15 lakh, does tax audit is must? No. And form 3CB and 3CD is necessary? No. 15 lakh turnover is less than 1 crore. Yeah, Dilip Lohia sir, in case of developer property sold by registered agreement in the year 2001, but sale deed made in 2019-20, and difference in agreement value and current fair market value, shall we required to report in 43 CA or not? No. Dilip ji, if you remember, 43 CA, now registered agreement in 2001, there are certain provisos which have been added to 43C and 50C, that if there was a registered agreement and a part payment has been made through the banking channel, then the stamp duty value as on the date of registration that may be taken. Now, section 43CA though was not there in 2001, but then certain judicial decisions have come which say that these provisos which have been added or have been inserted in the section itself in order to prevent a mischief which was never intended, and therefore they ought to be taken to have the retrospective effect. So in your case, now if part payment has been made pursuant to that registered agreement through the account pay check or bank draft, then in that situation, the current stamp duty value should not be taken as the fair market value under section 43CA. Krishnakant Agrawal, KK Agrawal sir, late fee are allowed as expense or not? Which is kind of late fee? So the principle, because the nature of late fee which we have mentioned is not there. So the principle is that if that late fee is for infraction of law, then of course that may partake the character of penalty, and for infraction of law, penalty may not be allowed. But then if the late fee is only compensatory, doesn't have the penal in character, then of course it will be allowed. There is penalty of point. Yes, Shivangi.
You are correct.
Yeah. There is penalty of 0.5% of turnover or 1,50,000, whichever is less, if we are submitting the tax audit report in late. Do we require to pay this penalty or should we wait for the notice from the
No. I
department?
mean, penalty is not required to be paid like this, as probably you understand. Now, in order to levy the penalty, the assessing officer is required to issue you the penalty notice. And in response to that, then you have got every right to defend against the levy of penalty, the possible levy of penalty, because section 273 capital B of the Income Tax Act says that not in all circumstances the penalty is leviable if you can show that there was a reasonable cause for the commission of this default, then the penalty may not be imposed. So in response to that notice, you are entitled to put in your defense before the assessing officer by showing that there was a reasonable cause. That reasonable cause, depending upon the facts and circumstances of your case, may be anything which prevented you from getting the books of accounts audited. And therefore, once he passes an order, and even that order is appealable before the first appellate authority, I mean, at that stage, you may be required to pay penalty. But then, of course, ultimately, the final outcome of an appeal against the levy of penalty, I mean, will determine whether the penalty ultimately is payable by you or not. If paid, then whether it is refundable or not, or penalty paid by you, I mean, cannot be refunded on the reason that the penalty now comes to be upheld against you. So the penalty at the threshold is not required to pay like this.
Okay. So another
Okay, but
question is,
ah,
there is a group of companies which are being managed by two real brothers. Due to some disputes, both of them have taken control of two companies with them, but both of them are unable to provide audit evidence and filed a police case against each other for unlawful taking possession of the books of accounts, documents, and computer systems of the company. So now both of them are unable to provide the necessary documents for the conduct of audit and frame an opinion in the audit report by us. They also provided the FIR copy. So as an auditor, what should be our view and how we can conclude the audit by giving appropriate remarks and disclosure, both in tax audit as well as in statutory audit.
now, as the facts which have been given in this query now show amply, clearly, unequivocally that there are not even the basic evidences in support of the transactions, and therefore, in the absence of any support of the transactions, how can the auditor express his view on the true and fair character of the books of accounts? So, in that situation, now the auditors may not have any choice but to, I mean, but to what is that called? Give उसको कौन सी opinion बोलते हैं when the auditors are not supplied?
Qualification.
No, not qualifications. I mean,
Fair
yes,
and true.
no, fair and true. So is one thing. Qualification is one thing. But then where the auditors are not in position to express the view as to the true and fairness, because those evidences go to the root of the matter, they are so vital. Now there is not even a scope for any qualification, and if the qualifications, if at all, can be there, then the true and fairness will not have any meaning at all. So I mean, because when you do not have the basic documents in your possession, so the auditors will have to express and will have to refrain from expressing any opinion about the true and fair character of those books of accounts. They say that we have not, like I remember when I used to do audit, there was a CBI search in case of a very big company, and the entire records were taken by CBI, and and the records were taken in original, and the assessee was not able to, or the copies were not given by CBI despite the requests made by that company. Now, as the auditor, I mean, we refrain from expressing an opinion. I mean, what opinion at all could be expressed by us? in the absence of the books of account.
Answer is coming disclaimer of opinion.
Disclaimer, yes, disclaimer.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Many
so
answers are there, comments
yes,
are there.
yes, disclaimer. So that is the appropriate expressions, disclaimer of opinion. Next.
So next question is, there is a speculation loss and 44 AD business. While calculating turnover, whether speculation turnover plus 44 AD turnover needs to be considered together for calculating the tax audit limit.
No, again, if the turnover of that 44 AD business plus speculation turnover now is not in excess of rupees 2 crore, then you can declare your income under section 44 AD. But in that situation, now you cannot be heard dissecting your business that so far as speculation is concerned, there is a loss, I should claim that. And in respect of that 44 AD business, I should declare at 8%. No. First of all, we'll have to see that by putting both the businesses together, whether it falls within the meaning of eligible business or not. If it is eligible business, meaning thereby that the turnover is not more than 2 crores of rupees, then you have to apply straightway 8%. Okay. So I mean that kind of aggregation will have to be will have to be done. And then 44 AD turnover separately taxed and speculation loss. No, that is not permissible. Yes.
So next question is, an assessee having future and option turnover of rupees 17 crores, whether tax audit is applicable.
Yes, it is applicable because futures and options. Now I am taking them that they are eligible transactions under the proviso to section 43 subsection 5. So eligible transactions have been defined that it has been screen based transactions, duly stamped invoices. I mean I'm taking these future options of those kind of transactions. Now in that situations they will be treated as business and the turnover is more than the threshold and therefore you are required to get them audited.
Okay. So next question is,
Ah.
proprietor not disclosing personal
Yes.
transaction.
I'll answer. Krishna Kanji, K.K. Agarwal sir, proprietor not disclosing personal transactions. What precautions to be taken as in 26 AS we can see other income and prepaid advance tax. So Agarwal sir, now you are concerned with the audit of his business. Now, therefore, if he is withholding transactions which have got nothing to do with your business, then it is all right. Okay. But then if you read form 3CD, then there are certain transactions, even if they are not relating to his business, yet you as the tax auditors are required to report. Like if I give an example, like 45.2, there are other transactions also like the amount of gift under section 56.2. So there are other transactions also which have got nothing to do with business, and yet as the tax auditors, these questions are required to be answered by you. Now, first of all, let us understand, as I said a little while ago, that we are doing audit under section 44 AB relating to his business. But then for the purpose of reporting on any other aspect which is required of you in form number 3 CD, now you give him a letter, ask the specific information, and in case he chooses not to give you that information, then you can very well mention that this has not been made available to you. So if certain information is not made available to you, then based upon form 26 AS or by any other mode to which you have access, if you can point out your inability or your limited ability to report something, then you can do. Otherwise you can refrain from reporting and by expressing or giving a qualification in form number 3CB. Umesh Malwade, in case of partnership firm, interest to partners credited to partners capital account, whether TDS provision is applicable. No. Interest to partner is not interest under section 2 clause 28 capital A read with section 194 capital A. Interest to partner is a business income and therefore there is no requirement of any TDS. Yes. CA Bhargav Bhatt, A private limited having scientists for research will be professional considered for 44 AD if turnover exceeds 50 lakh. No, no. Now, private limited having scientists for research. Now, private limited company, whether is carrying on business, then the limit is 1 crore. Private limited companies certainly cannot be said to be carrying on profession. Therefore, the limit of 50 lakhs, which I could find, which I could sniff from your question, that is not applicable. Sankalp Jain, sir, please explain related party note of 3CD. No, probably we are talking of 40A2. You kindly explain, Sankalp ji, kindly explain your question, then I'll answer it. Vikas Mangilal Vishnoi, sir, can I pass journal entry of rent payable or receivable in loan account, and whether it will be declared in section 269 SS or 269T? In short, can I settle loan against income or expense? So what I could understand, Vishnoi sir, from your query, that rent receivable whether can be treated as can be transferred loan. So whether a particular amount is being treated as loan now is subject to the agreement of both the parties. So if you are showing the rent receivable, and then both of you, your landlord, your tenant and you both agree to treat it as a loan, then of course it can be treated as loan, and 269 SS in that situation may be applicable, but then there will not be any adverse consequences, as I said in the beginning when I answered, because the courts have said loan or deposit of money means any loan which has been or which has not been received through book adjustment. So there are plethora of judicial decisions. Maybe you may be required to report it in form number 3CD, but then there will not be any adverse consequence during your tax proceedings. Hemant Kedia sir, in case of a company, we have to select the third proviso or 44 AB. Hemantji, I do not know you were there or not in the beginning of this talk, because I have already explained. Because the clause is A, B, C, D, and E. Third proviso is no clause. Okay, so you'll have to report it 44 AB small a in case you fall under that clause.
Yes, Shivangi, 25th question.
You are not audible. Kindly unmute.
Sir, am I audible
Yes,
now?
highly.
Yeah, okay. A company having turnover of rupees 50 lakhs, however, its other income includes income from mutual fund of rupees 70 lakhs, interest income of rupees 1.2 crore, whether tax audit is applicable in this case.
So we have to see whether the other income in the case of a company from mutual fund and interest income of 1.2 crore now have got any relation with business or not. Because when it says that carrying on business, because 44 AB says a person carrying on business shall if his total sales, turnover or gross receipts in business. So whether the income from mutual fund and interest income can be said to be the receipt in business, so that has to be seen. And uh, theoretically speaking, the audit may not be required, but then audit is a win-win situation for everybody. Then therefore, if on the face of it, it appears that the threshold of 1 crore is crossed, you kindly don't do audit. Otherwise, if you have not got yourself audited, and other income and interest income have got nothing to do with your business, then of course you can take a view that the limit is 1 crore and your 50 lakhs is less than 1 crore, therefore you are not required to get them audited.
Okay. So next question is, can an assessee carrying on business having declared 8% presumptive income on his respective 40 lakhs be burdened with section 111 BBE penalty for unexplained investment? etc. under section 68 or 69 made from income for that year.
Yes, why not? Because section 44 AD starts not with standing anything contrary in section 28 to 43C. So if there is some investment which is found regarding the source of which there is no satisfactory explanation, then that amount can be added under section 69. But then if there is deposit into the bank account which you can show that this is part of that 40 lakhs of the total turnover, then of course in that situation that will be subsumed in the amount and the quantum of total turnover. But then if there is anything else, so section 68 or 69, I mean, they can be made applicable with full fury, and nobody should remain under this kind of a misconception that once I am assessed under section 44 AD, then I have crossed all sections of the Income Tax Act, including 60. It's not like this. Yes.
So next question is, in the case of an assessee opting for presumptive income under section 44 AD or ADA, will the provisions apply with respect to section 269 ST, 269 SS, 40 AIE, 43B or 44A? Double A.
Now we'll have to answer this question in a fragmented manner. So first of all, we'll have to see section 269 ST. Yes, of course, 269 ST is applicable if a person is in receipt of rupees 2 lakhs or more from a person in a day. I mean, all those three situations. So even if there is a 44 AD or 44 ADA and 269 ST, now situations happen, then of course that person is liable to be penalized under section 271 capital DA. 269 double S, the same thing. So there is no reprieve or respite or rescue from the application of section 269 ST and 269 double S merely for the reason that you are assessed under the presumptive scheme. Now, so far as 40A IA is concerned, now both section 44 AD and 44 ADA, they start notwithstanding anything contained in section 28 to 43C. So these sections 40A IA, 43B, now they are subsumed in 8%. Okay, so even if there is some violation, then that violation cannot be pitted against, and there cannot be a separate disallowance which can be made. Now, so far as 44 AA is concerned, which requires you to maintain books of account in certain situations. Now, in 44 ADA, now is very peculiar situation, because 44 ADA, if you read subsection 4, then an impression comes, an interpretation comes that if your receipts are less than 50 lakhs, you are declaring more than 50% as your professional income, then it gives an impression that you are not required to maintain books of accounts. You are not required, of course, then to get them audited. But then if you read section 44 AA and read with rule 6, what is that rule in 44 AA? In section 44 AA, the rule 6G. Now, according to that, a professional is required to maintain books of accounts if in preceding 3 years there is a particular threshold and which is not very significant amount. So on the one hand, 44 ADA gives an impression interpretation that you are not required to books of accounts provided you return your income presumptive scheme. But then 44 AA doesn't say. 44 AA says for 44 AD. It says for 44 AE. But then 44 AA does not say anything on 44 ADA. Meaning thereby that a professional may be offering his income under section 44 ADA at the rate of 50% of your receipts. But because of section 44 AA, still he is required to maintain books of account. So that is the combined reading of 44 AA and 44 AD. So far as 44 AD is concerned, 44 AD says that if you are hit by 44 AD4 and your income is above the basic threshold limit, then you have to require you have to maintain books of account. And similar thing has been said in 44 AA. So this is the interplay of 44 AA, 44 AD and 44 ADA.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is, an astrologer, carpenter, yoga guru has a professional receipt of rupees 40 lakhs. Can he opt for presumptive taxation?
No, because 44 AD or ADA? Presumptive, under which section you are saying?
44 AD.
Oh, 44 AD, yes. Now, regarding that 44 AD, the only limitation is in respect of the persons carrying on the profession as referred under subsection on a section 44 AA. So, astrologer or yoga guru, they cannot be said to be carrying on profession as referred under subsection 1 of section 44 AA. Because if you read 44 AA subsection 1, there are specified professions and the notified professions. Now, yoga guru and astrologer, they nowhere fall into that. Okay. And therefore, 44 AD benefit can be availed by yoga guru and the astrologer, and similarly the carpenter. Okay.
So next question is, CA receives interest on salary of rupees 55 lakhs. As a partner from his partnership firm, he has no other income. Should the CA be liable for tax audit?
Yes. Because the salary and interest may be called as a salary or interest, but in pith and substance, they are the professional income. And the professional receipts are more than 50 lakhs of rupees, then he is subject to tax audit. Yes, Bhargav Bhatt sir, a private company with scientists, आ गया पहले पूछ लिया. Alok Mishra sir, if a company invests in a foreign subsidiary and if there is no transaction other than this, whether the company is liable to get its accounts audited under section 92E if there are international transactions. Of course, 92E, if this is international investment foreign transaction is also an international transaction which has to be benchmarked, and therefore I mean audit has to be done under section 92E. Now let me see, 92E says 92D, 92E. Every person who has entered into international transaction. Yes, it is an international transaction, and therefore, yes, it will have to be done. Sanjay Gupta sir, a firm having turnover of rupees 0.80 lakhs and net income before interest and remuneration to partner is more than 8%, but after paying these payments over to the partner, net profit at 2%. Audit 44 AB is required. Now, yes. Now, 44 AB is not required because I am assuming, though facts are not coming, that in the earlier year we have not availed the benefit of 44 AD. So in that situation, since we have not availed the benefit of 44 AD1, therefore subsection 4 of 44 AD doesn't hit you, and therefore you are not required to get it audited under section 44 AD subsection 5. And since your turnover is less than a crore rupees, therefore you are not required to get. But then if you have availed the benefit of 4481 in earlier year, and this is one of those succeeding 5 years, then of course you have to get it audited. Akash Malhotra, if a client wants to conduct his tax audit despite his limit is not exceeding 5 crore and also the limit of 5% is fulfilled, you are not statutorily required, but then if you want to get them audited, I mean, let both the parties be happy. There is no adverse consequence. KK Agrawal sir, in case of it audit, in case of audit GST credit ledger balances not matching with books, what all disclosures to be given while filing audit report, and will such disclosure be enough from our side? Now you will have to assess as the tax auditor, subject to Vivekji and Shivangi. Now, if there is a particular account, now you will have to assess as a tax auditor as to what will be the impact of such non-reconciliation, and in case you find that non-reconciliation now may not be affecting the true and fair disclosure, then you can subject to these qualifications I mean, you can certify the audit. But then, if the non reconciliation of this account, in your wisdom and professional wisdom, of course, now is such that even the true and fair character of the books, or the final accounts, I mean, may be in question, then of course you'll have to take a call. So there cannot be any hard and fast, without having regard to the facts of a particular case. Any opinion can be expressed, but then this should be the parameter in my view. Shivangi, what you have to say?
So I totally agree with you. यदि आपने बोला कि वो एक
because
professionalism and
because Agrawal Sahab, if you remember, now even in statutory audit, now lots of debtors and creditors are not reconciled. Now we give note depending upon whether that should partake the character of one of the main qualification, or it should be given at the end of the notes to the account. We also, because non-reconciliation of debtors and creditors now can be such a thing now which can impact the overall true and fairness character of the entire um, books of accounts. So you can take a parity from there.
Yes,
Yes.
Shivangi, take the 31 question.
yes, sir. Sir, as per clause 14 of Form PCD, the deviation from the method of valuation prescribed under Section 145A and its effect thereof on the profit or loss needs to be punished. Section 145A prescribes inclusive method of valuation, whereas AS2 prescribes exclusive method of inventory valuation. Will there be any difference in the valuation of inventory because of this and consequently on the taxable income or profit?
Okay, I do remember, insofar as 145 capital A is concerned as compared to AS2. Now the settled position is that the statutory provisions now have the precedence, and therefore whatever AS2 may have prescribed, you may present your books of accounts in that manner. But when it comes to the computation of income under that business is concerned, it has strictly to be done based upon the provisions of law, and the law in this regard has been contained in section 145 capital A. Therefore, when it comes to the computation, then of course 145A. But then if you are paying your excise duty or now GST on or before the due date of filing of return, then 145A inclusive method or exclusive method in the books of account, that will have no impact, that will have no real impact on the profit. Because ultimately, if you show it as inclusive in your books of account, then you will have to make corresponding provisions to the debit or profit loss account, and ultimately, I mean, we will reach to that stage. Yes, Shivangi, what do you have to say?
So yes, sir. जो ये इसका proper है, इसका impact तो करेगा ही, profit and loss account पे.
Yes. So it will be tax neutral. Okay.
Yes.
And that is what I recollect. Your institute's guidance note has also said that there will not be any impact because of this. Yes.
So next question is turnover or gross से related है. In case of intraday trading of shares, what will be the turnover? Also, what will be the turnover in case of derivatives, options, and futures? Whether they are speculative in nature.
Yes. First of all, let us understand regarding the derivatives options. I have already spoken the section 43(5) now says that any transaction which is settled otherwise than by way of delivery is speculative. But then there are about 5 exceptions which have been given in the form of the proviso. And proviso relating to the derivatives, options, and futures say that if they are eligible transactions, and eligible transactions have been defined and explained under the explanation appended there under, then these derivatives, options, and futures then will not be treated as speculative transactions, even though they are settled otherwise than by delivery. So special exception has been carved out from that general principle. So let us be clear on that. Now, so far as turnover in case of derivatives, options, and futures are concerned, then of course the profits and losses which happen on the settlement day. Now that will be aggregated. Profits also, losses also. Then aggregate will have to be seen. Even in case of intraday trading of shares, the profits or losses incurred or earned, now they will be aggregated. And after aggregation, if the threshold crosses a crore of rupees, and in case, because all transactions in such cases happen through banking channel, but then the limit will be 5 crores, and if there are no cash receipts and all. So aggregate of the profits or losses in case of intra trading, and in case of the derivative options and futures, the aggregate of the profits or losses of the settlement day, or if the loss or profits have been booked, then that will constitute the income or the gross receipts or the turnover for the purpose of section 44AB. Yes.
So next question is, should turnover be inclusive of VAT, GST, excise duty, inclusive of tax basically, for presumptive tax calculation or for determining the limit for tax audit?
Yes. Now, whether the turnover be including VAT, GST, or excise duty for the purpose of tax audit, now guidance note of the institute now has said that it would depend upon whether you are following inclusive method or exclusive method in a books of account. So if you are following exclusive method whereby you are keeping these state levies into separate account, then of course they will not be forming part of turnover. But then if you are following inclusive method, then obviously that will be part of turnover. But then regarding the presumptive tax under section 44 AD, then because of the operation of section 145 capital A, which says that for the purpose of determining income under that income from business, now all these things should be of inclusive of tax, whether it is inventory, whether it is sales turnover, whether it is purchases, they should be inclusive of these levies, state levies. And even the explanation says that even if a part of it may be refundable to you by the input credit, that will be disregarded. So for the purpose of presumptive taxation under section 44 AD, your turnover will have to include the amount of these levies. And when it comes to be seen whether the turnover is more than 2 crores for the purpose of 44 AD eligible business, that will be forming part. And then for the purpose of applying 8%, then also that will be forming part of the turnover. So that is a thing, I mean, which is something very interesting. Jain sir, if a professional gets remuneration as 1 crore from his partnership firm, whether, yes, he would be required. Yes sir, I have already replied, he would be required because his professional income in the form of remuneration which is accessible under section 28 is more than 50 lakhs of rupees, he will be hit by section 44 capital AB, then bracket small b. Bhargav Bhatt sir, can professionals start private limited and it will be company under profession or business for 44? It's a business. uh, yes, the service company, that is service, because a company cannot be said to be a professional. Okay, so 1 crore limit. Vikas Mangilal Vishnoi, based on your response, I could not reach to a conclusion. I have taken loan from a person and also paying rent to that. Okay, your question was not clear. Now, I have taken loan from a person, yes, and also paying rent to the same person. Should I include rent payable in loan account and show it as addition? Yes, if you both, landlord and the tenant, agree that this rent payable should be treated as loan, only then it can partake the character of loan. Now you cannot unilaterally change the character of rent payable as a loan. So if both of you agree, of course the rent payable will become loan, and in that situation then 269 double S. But then there will not be any penalty in the form of 271D, because you are not accepting loan. Though you are accepting loan in the form of rent payable, but then there are certain judicial decisions which are good in numbers which say that such kind of book adjustments and acceptance of loan through book adjustment is not in violation of section 269. Whether option premium paid while buying of a call and puts to be deducted from turnover for computing turnover under section 44AB. What is clarified is premium received on sale of options to be added. और भी क्वेश्चन आगे भी है क्या इसमें मनीष जी? Option premium paid for buying of call and put to be deducted from the turnover computed. In my respectful submission, it should not be deducted. I mean, turnover cannot be reduced by the amount of the option premium paid by you. A partnership firm having turnover below 1 crore have profits more than 8% before interest and remuneration to partners. I have already replied, Sanjay ji, that first of all, interest and remuneration to the partners will have to be disregarded. So we'll have to see that after disregarding that interest and part, what is the percentage? Number one. Number two, now 44 AD, as I have said, is something which you invite. So if इससे पहले वाले सालों में आपने 44 AD सबसेक्शन 1 का यदि बेनिफिट लिया है तो आपको 44 AD में 8% नेक्स्ट 5 ईयर में 5 साल में दिखलाना था. तो मैं आपका आंसर ये देता हूं कि सपोज मैं मान लेता हूं आपके क्वेश्चन को आंसर देने के लिए कि इससे पहले 4 सालों में आपने 44 AD1 में रिटर्न भरी थी. अब आपने पहले 5 सालों में रिटर्न 44, तो नेक्स्ट 5 साल आपको 44 AD1 में ही रिटर्न भरने की दरकार थी, जरूरत थी, आवश्यकता थी, कानूनन बाध्यता थी, और आपने इसमें नहीं दिखलाया है. तो आपको 44 AD5 में यदि आपकी इनकम टैक्सेबल है तो आपको टैक्स ऑडिट कराना लाजमी है. लेकिन यदि आपने इससे पहले 44 AD1 में इनकम नहीं भरी तो सिंपली बिकॉज कि आपका प्रॉफिट 8% से कम है, 44 AD आप पर थोपा नहीं जाएगा, आपको बर्डन नहीं किया जाएगा. ये कानून है. Manish Kesharwani sir, one question is, if SSE doesn't register himself GST and turnover is more than 1 crore, suggest me please whether tax audit accept or not. क्या मतलब tax audit accept or not? आगे भी कुछ है, डॉट है.
Actually, he wants to ask कि हमने रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करवाया जीएसटी में, तो टैक्स ऑडिट करवा ले या ना करवा ले, वो रिस्की है बिकॉज़ नाउअडेज इट्स
नहीं, उसने जीएसटी में उसने यदि वायलेशन की है तो की है. आपको जीएसटी से संबंधित जो भी क्लॉजेस इस फॉर्म में देने में हैं, जो आप उसमें आवश्यकता है वो आप देंगे. टैक्स ऑडिट तो स्टैंड अलोन बेसिस पे है, तो आप करिएगा. If an assessee is having turnover less than 5 crore and all through banking channels payments and receipts, then he will still want to do in tax audit under which clause tax audit will be conducted. देखिए मैंने कहा ना कि ABCDE पांचों क्लॉज नहीं लगते हैं, लेकिन वो यदि कराना चाहता है तो वो कराए. आपके सामने क्वेश्चन है अब क्लॉज 8 ऑफ टैक्स ऑडिट कि क्लॉज कौन सा लिखें, तो अब उसमें स्मॉल a कर दीजिएगा, क्योंकि अब वो कराना चाहता है. टैक्स ऑडिट का कोई 44 ए भी नहीं लगेगा. तो अब इसमें आप जैसे भी नेविगेट और नेगोशिएट करना चाहें तो आप उसमें यदि भरना फील्ड में जरूरी है तो आप स्मॉल ए भर दीजिएगा. असेसिंग ऑफिसर बाद में आपसे क्वेश्चन करे कि साहब स्मॉल ए भरा आपने, तो आप बताइएगा, तो उस बता देना कि साहब इवन ए भी नहीं था मेरे लिए, मुझे तो कराना था, कर दिया मैंने.
Yes, let's Shivangi. Queries.
कितनी और बची हैं अभी?
जो शिवांगी वाली है वो 2-3 है, बाकी 5-6 और.
अच्छा, हाँ.
Sir, question is, can test check be used for giving details in Form 3CD in cases of huge volume of transactions, especially with respect to Section 48C, 269 ST, and tedious reporting under Clause 34 of 3CD relating to TDS or TCS?
देखिए सबसे पहले तो फॉर्म 3CD में पर्टिकुलर्स देने की जो प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो एसएससी की है. आपकी तो उन डिटेल्स को चेक करने की है. अब टेस्ट चेक करना है या कंप्लीट चेक करना है, ये इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम और इंटरनल चेक उस पर आधारित होगा. बट एज ए टैक्स ऑडिटर, बिकॉज फॉर्म 3CD क्या है, दिस इज ए सर्टिफिकेशन ऑफ फैक्ट. तो उस फैक्ट्स में यदि गलती होगी तो आप यू कैन नॉट हाइड बिहाइंड द टेस्ट चेक. रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपकी है because it is a certification. It is not true and fair. It is true and correct. तो लिहाजा यू कैन नॉट हाइड बिहाइंड कि साहब वो ट्रांजेक्शन बड़े वॉल्यूमिनस थे, तो लिहाजा हमने टेस्ट चेक किया, और टेस्ट चेक में दैट मे बी अ प्रॉब्लम, दैट मे बी अ प्रॉब्लम. यस.
So next question is, what are the various observations or qualifications that could be given under clause 3 of form 3CA or clause 5 of form 3CB?
यस, देखिए क्वालिफिकेशंस, एक तो क्वालिफिकेशंस वो क्वालिफिकेशंस हैं 3CB के पॉइंट से मैं बताता हूं, जहां पर कि हम ऑडिट करते हैं और ऑडिट में कोई ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन और मटेरियल है जो हमें अवेलेबल नहीं कराया, लेकिन सब्जेक्ट टू दैट हम अपनी ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू हम एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं. इसके अलावा फॉर्म 3CD में जो हम पर्टिकुलर्स दे रहे हैं और एक पर्टिकुलर व्यू हम ले रहे हैं, और वो व्यू हमारे जुडिशियल डिसीजन के बेसिस पर है. हालांकि जो प्लेन प्रोविजन ऑफ लॉ है वो कुछ, तो वी कैन मेक ए मेंशन कि साहब this information in such and such clause has been given after taking into account the impact of the decisions given by this court in such and such case reported in such and such journal. So क्वालिफिकेशंस हम इस तरह से, जो क्वालिफिकेशंस ऑडिट की क्वालिफिकेशंस हैं उसके बारे में मुझे कोई बताने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, लेकिन जो फॉर्म 3CD में जो ट्रू एंड करेक्ट पर्टिकुलर्स आप जो दे रहे हैं और उस देने के पीछे कोई आधार है, तो उस आधार का आप उसमें जिक्र करें, वर्णन करें, वो क्वालिफिकेशंस में दें 3CB में और 3CA में. किशोर साहा सर, if assessee is commission agent and also is doing trading, how his turnover will be considered tax audit purpose? Now, trading turnover as well as the commission agency income, the aggregate of both of which, I mean, that will become the turnover. Sir, my question is different. If two scientists, okay, Bhargav sir, if two scientists start a private limited company, what will be limit for 44A? 1 crore. Private limited company cannot be said to be carrying on profession, and therefore the limit of professionals will not apply. Sanjay Gupta sir, earlier there was a specific proviso allowing interest remuneration to partners, which is not there now. Yes, it is not there. It is there in 44AE, but not in 44AE. तो फिर क्या? यस, सो इसलिए जब नहीं है तो नहीं है. जब कोई प्रोविजन हटा दिया गया, पहले था और अब नहीं है, तो लेजिस्लेचर ने कॉन्शियसली उसको हटाया है और 44A से नहीं हटाया है. दैट मींस कि लेजिस्लेचर 44A वाला जो बिजनेस है, अप्लाइंग, हायरिंग, लीजिंग ऑफ व्हीकल्स, उसके प्रॉफिट निकालने के लिए अलग तरह से एनविसेज करती है, 44AD के लिए अलग तरह से एनविसेज करती है. whether 44AD and ADA can be opted together. मैंने इसका पलाश जी उत्तर दिया है. 44AD सबसेक्शन 6 में ये लिखा हुआ है कि यदि कोई प्रोफेशन कर रहा है 44AA1 का, तो उसके लिए 44AD है ही नहीं. तो इसलिए 44AD और 44ADA साथ क्लेम करने का एक ही व्यक्ति के द्वारा वो प्रश्न ही पैदा नहीं होता.
सर एक लास्ट क्वेरी जो रह गई थी उनकी दो बार आ गई है दोबारा.
सर हाँ, यस सर, माय क्वेश्चन, रूल 6DD, सैलरी पेड ट्वाइस इन ए मंथ less than rupees 10,000 but in aggregate salary is more than 20,000. yes, so rule 6DD क्या होता है, जरा आलोक भाई जरा रुके हैं, सैलरी के बारे में कुछ इसमें अलग दिया हुआ है रूल 6DD में, पर वो तो रिटायरमेंट के लिए है. 6DD में जस्ट ए मिनट. Reserve Bank payment is made. Payment is made. Adjustment against the amount liability incurred by pay. Payment amount is made for the purchase. Payment is made purchase. Payment is made village. Payment is made to an employee or the here employee or a connection, retirement, retrenchment, resignation, discharge, or death on account of gratuity. Yes. Yes. So there is no exception in case of a working employee. So you have to see. So 10,000 and 10,000, 20,000. So section 43 is applicable in case when the payment is made exceeding rupees 10,000 to a person in a day. Okay. 48.3. It says that no payment to a person in a day. So if twice a month 10,000 can be paid, aggregate salary may be 20,000, but then in a day you are paying to a person not exceeding rupees 10,000, that is all right. I mean, you need not to go to even rule 6DD. Under section 48.3 itself, that you are saved. I mean, you are not required to make any disalliance. Okay. Any system to know from the bank to know what account pay check or otherwise, as this information is not available from the bank statement? Yes, very, very good question. And this question has always remained there. I remember when I used to do audits long back, for 20 years more. I mean, at that time also, because account pay check or account pay bank draft, how can you certify? So we used to give some sort of qualifications, and that qualifications can be inserted even in form 3CB or 3CA now also. Sir, if I had commission income, which I would be showing in income from other sources, would 44 ADs allowed for eligible business, or I would be disqualified? Yes, you will be disqualified. Number one, merely because you show it as income from other sources, that is not final. Now, that can always be shown by you, that even though I have shown it as income from other sources, but then it was a systematic and organized activity carried on by me as a business, and therefore this classification made by me was wrong, and therefore it should be correctly accessible under that business. That claim you can make, and in that situation 44 AD, I mean, can be claimed by you. But then commission income, because 44 AD subsection 6 says that if you are a person earning income in the nature of commission, then you are out. So even if you are showing income from commission, 44 AD is clearly out for you. So whether you show it income from other sources, you forget it. But even if you show it as under the head income from business, then subsection 6 of section 44 AD then throws you out from the scope of section 44 AD. Yes.
एक last query है.
Ajay
Many
Gupta
clients-
sir, object to account pay check. What does it mean? Object on client say why this qualification. Now Ajay ji, now I have not been able to appreciate if the client तो कुछ भी चाह सकता है, तो क्या we will succumb to clients?
Yes,
Now
yes.
something now which is not verifiable from an independent source, because the checks are in the custody of the bank, or you ask the client, bhaiya you take certificate from the bank, on that basis you certify.
Yes.
Now
Actually, we have to save ourselves instead of clients.
yes,
Yes.
definitely.
So I
Nowadays
think
regulatory agencies are on the prowl. They are after
yes,
the blood. We have
exactly.
to be very careful. We have to save our skin.
And
Yes.
actually now time doesn't permit. And really thank you, Dr.
नहीं,
Saab.
बड़ा टाइमली 1 घंटे 58 मिनट 17 सेकंड में खत्म हो गया आज.
Yes. And I just
क्रेडिट गोज टू शिवांगी.
मेरे माइंड से स्किप हो गया था कि डॉक्टर साहब कोरोना से अभी बाहर आए हैं, बट हमने फिर भी उनका टाइम ले लिया. सर रियली थैंक यू वेरी मच. एंड मैसेजेस भी आ रहे हैं आपके नाम से, वेलकम बैक, गॉड ब्लेस यू, आपकी हेल्थ के लिए कह रहे हैं सारे.
थैंक यू उपेंद्र.
मेंबर्स लव टू हियर यू सर. रियली वी आल्सो मिस्ड यू.
विवेक जी,
हुए नहीं हमारे साथ.
मेरे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट मित्रों ने जो मुझे इतने भावपूर्ण संदेश भेजे मेरी बीमारी पर, मैं बता नहीं सकता. आई चेरिश एंड आई रियली, मैं मतलब मेरे पास शब्द नहीं है अभिव्यक्त करने के लिए उनके स्नेहपूर्ण भावों को रिस्पॉन्ड करने के लिए.
God bless you, sir. And really nice. And one more thing. And next month in January, we'll conduct
वो जो है ना कि किस तरह से असेसमेंट को अप्रोच किया जाए, किस तरह से अपील को बनाया जाए, ये इसके ऊपर देखिए. मैं ना विवेक जी, वेरी फ्रेंकली, पहले भी मेरा भाव इस तरह था कि जो मैंने सीखा है मैं अपने सारे मित्रों के साथ शेयर करूं. मैं एक मिशन पे हूं.
यस सर.
और अब इस कोरोना के बाद तो ये जो भावना है ये और भी बलवती हो गई है. इट हैज बिकम ऑल द मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर. जो भी मैंने सीखा है मैं उसको बड़ी बेयर चेस्ट से अपने सारे मित्रों को शेयर करना चाहता हूं. हालांकि मेरे सभी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट मित्र मुझसे कहीं ज्यादा श्रेष्ठ है हर चीज में, लेकिन फिर भी जो मैंने सीखा है, मेरे सीनियर्स ने मुझे सिखाया है, मेरे अनुभव ने मुझे सिखाया है, मैं एक मिशन पर हूं, ये मैं अपने मित्रों के साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूं।
Definitely, sir. Even I want to tell you, we have the maximum strength today after 2 months. हमारे पास maximum strength काफी लोग थे, इतनी ज्यादा queries, इतने ज्यादा really really it's a great thing and really God bless you, sir. आपके सारे
Thank you.
messages आप देख सकते हैं. Everyone is saying thank you very much and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful session, and we'll try to come in the month of January because now everybody is busy. So till
Yes,
then, bye bye. Take care.
I am
Thank you.
humbled. I am humbled.
Thank you, Shivangi, or thank you
Thank
to
you.
me from myself also. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you, my friends. Thank you.